Hi, this is Carrie from Tone Wars. We're going to go live in just a few minutes, but before we do, I just wanted to take a few seconds to say a few things. Jared and I really appreciate when you guys tune in and interact with us when we go live. We work very hard to make sure that our live streams and our produced videos are educational and entertaining for everyone. Believe it or not, there's a lot of work that goes into our live streams and our produced videos. So if you like what you're experiencing here, here's a couple ways you can help us out. The Super Chat feature is turned on and any amount will be appreciated. Jared is also available for private consultation for a nominal fee. You can contact Jared through two of the links below. One is through our Tone Wars Facebook page and the other is through email. So thank you so much for your support. The live stream's about ready to start, so go pour yourself your favorite glass of whiskey or other libation and we'll be right with you. Cheers!
Welcome to Tone Wars. Hello everybody. Good to see you here. Looks like I'm having some connection issues. Looks like it might be a little slow stream tonight. Hopefully not. Let me know how the stream looks on your end. Hopefully it's not going to be buffering and giving you the spinning circle of doom. I'm just looking at my monitor here and seeing that it's going from red to yellow to green. I bet you a lot of people are streaming tonight, so maybe that's what the deal is. I don't know, but every once in a while I get that, and you know, it is what it is. So hope everybody's doing well, and hope everybody is ready to get down to the nitty-gritty tonight with some Paid Helix presets, and I'll be reviewing these in mixes. I'll be playing them by themselves just to show you what they sound like. I haven't touched anything. I haven't augmented anything. All of my global settings on my Helix are just as they are when you open the Helix up from the factory. I've never touched them, so whatever they are from the factory, that's what they are. I guess flat, untouched, factory, whatever you want to call it, but I haven't touched anything. I've done Helix stuff before and have had people come and say, oh, your globals are probably wrong and that's what it is and that's why so-and-so's patches didn't sound right. No, they're flat. I haven't adjusted anything. The only thing I've adjusted tonight is volume so that I can make sure that when I play these in mixes that the volumes are as even as I can get them. I have a meter in front of me on the screen. I do palm mutes, I do chords, I do all kinds of little things to make sure that the volume is the same on all these presets against each other, against ones that I'm creating and putting up against them. And so if you hear a preset, you know, sound better in a mix that I made tonight against something that I, you know, am having trouble with, it's not because I turned the volume up, it's because it's just made better to sit in a mix properly. Some of these presets are actually, you know, halfway decent, and some of them are not. Some of them are not usable, and we will go through that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name the preset, not the person. So I'm going to try to remain very professional and very respectful about it. Not to say that naming a person who made it would be disrespectful in any way. I'm just trying to keep this professional. But let me just say this. If there's people in the chat who are fans of the people who make these presets or the preset makers themselves, and they get in here and they want to start, you know, throwing mud and stuff like that, well, I'm just going to tell you, I recommend that you don't. Okay, so let's just keep this educational, professional, and if presets are good enough to charge for, then they're definitely good enough to be reviewed as well. And the reason why I'm doing this is I've had a lot of people, ever since I started doing the Helix versus this and Helix versus that kind of, you know, episodes and my own Helix updates episodes and stuff like that, I have had people for months and months and months ask me, can you do a Helix preset review? And I've always put it off because of, you know, I just don't, I had other things to do and I had other episodes to make, and I wanted to avoid that because there's a lot of kind of fanboyism out there, and anytime you review something that there's a bunch of like cult following and fanboys for, and overly sensitive preset makers, you get a bunch of people spewing hate at you and stuff like that. But I think it's time that I did this, because I've kind of had it, to be honest with you. I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me to do this, and I was like, you know what, let me do some prospecting. So I went on Line 6's marketplace and bought a bunch. I probably spent about $100. And I want to thank Ben Burnett and other people who have been super chatting lately. That's what I did with the money. I actually spent it on presets, so that I can do this review for you. And I've also gotten some sent to me, and I've also bought some a long time ago, and I've just kept them in my Helix. I used them for other things, and now it's time to put them all together and do a full-blown review. So I bought them, did some prospecting, and I was like, oh my God, some of these are so bad. They're just so unusable and so just ridiculously awful. I was like, now I get why people are asking me to do this. I get why people are reaching out to me and saying, dude, you got to review these. Someone's got to do something about this that has a channel and a voice per se, so that people can not waste their money. Because the thing is, in a lot of instances with these, people buy them and they can't get their money back. You're kind of SOL, and the reason why a lot of people buy these is because they sound good on YouTube. And the reason why they sound good on YouTube, in a lot of ways, is probably because there's, they're not put in a mix properly, or they're quad tracked, dual tracked, EQ'd, processed. There's a lot of post processing that could happen, and also there's nothing to compare them to. So there's not somebody going, all right, well, this is what the Rev sounds like, and this is what my preset sounds like, and they're not A/Bing it for you to show you what it sounds like compared to a real amp or anything like that. You have anything compared to nothing is always going to be great, because there's nothing to compare it to. So, but as soon as you hear like a real amp or a preset that might have been dialed in better or properly per se, that's when you hear the difference. And there's also people, and I'm going to show this tonight, there's also people who make presets, and one of the ones I'm going to review tonight, this individual is famous for playing live on his YouTube channel, and he plays his presets live, which, fine. Play your presets live, and if they sound amazing, I hope everybody buys them. I hope everybody buys them and enjoys them. Here's the problem. Playing them live with backing tracks that already have either 1 or 2 or even 4 other guitar tracks backing you up while you're playing makes your preset sound better than it actually does, because you have 1 to 4 guitar tracks behind you kind of lifting you up and making it sound thicker and fuller. Well, we're going to debunk that tonight, because I'm going to play one of those presets in a mix with guitars behind it, and then I'm going to play it in a mix without the guitars and show you what happens when, people do this. And it's a shame that people are buying these presets based on what they're hearing and experiencing, because they're all based on trickery. It's like the shell game, Oh yeah, this is what my preset really sounds like, and it's not. I've done episodes about this before, a year ago or so, and I had and that might have been why people reached out to me, because they saw that, and I struck a chord with a lot of guys, and they were like, dude, you're so right. I don't know how many times I bought presets, and they didn't sound anything like they did on YouTube. And it's really sad. It really is. And I've done it myself. I probably about 3 years ago, I fell into that trap. I bought, and that's why I did the How to Get Out of the Digital Platform rabbit hole video. It was based on a lot of what I went through. And one of those things is I got frustrated, I made my own presets, and I thought they sounded okay. I compared them to real amps, and I was like, they're kind of falling short. What do I do here, So I went online. I saw a bunch of guys making videos on YouTube going, oh, buy my preset pack. These are amazing. And here's Eddie Van Halen's tone. And here's the one I made that sounds just like it. And it sounded exactly like it. I download it. I put it in my Helix, and it sounds nothing like what I heard on YouTube. And I was even playing it through the same speaker monitors that I used to watch the video and bought them with. And I A-B'd it with the video. Sounded nothing like it. I got ripped off. $24.99 I paid for that pack, and it's completely 100% useless to me and I can't get my money back. I even reached out to the guy and I asked him questions. I said, well, you know, is it something I'm doing wrong? He asked me a few questions about where I put the impulse responses. I said, yes, I put them there just like you instructed me in the PDF. And he said, well, everybody's guitar is a little different. $3,300 guitar, here's the thing. Yes, I get that, but are my pickups going to make them sound so different that they're not even usable? I mean, really? I mean, if anything, this guitar should improve them, it should be close enough to where I can make a few tweaks, and then okay, there it is. There's the feel. There's the tone that I want. Not the case at all. I was way off. So here's the thing. I have an 80-20 rule. Anytime I'm working with somebody on a creative level, like going to the studio and getting my first mixes back and stuff like that, or creating anything like songs, whatever. The 80-20 rule with me is if I'm going to buy, let's just use presets for example. If I'm going to buy presets, okay, I'm looking at the stream here. I'm definitely not having a good stream at all. So now it's green. Jeez. So all right, here's the thing. If I buy presets, okay, and what I expect, and I think what is absolutely okay for you to expect, is for them to be at least 80% of what you want them to be. In other words, you can get them and, oh, this is actually pretty good, just like an amp. Like, oh, this amp's pretty good. Well, I would turn the treble up a little, I'd turn the bass down a little, and maybe scoop the mids or boost the mids. Turn this more gain, less gain, whatever, and in 5 minutes you're off to the races and you got yourself a great tone. That's the 80-20 rule. You should only have to do a little bit of work to get them to work, and for you. So there is subjectivity. There is different guitars, different playing styles, different needs, different wants, and that's perfectly okay. And there will be presets tonight that I play that are like that, and it's perfectly fine. And I think that changing the impulse response is also part of the 80-20 rule. Everybody's got their own favorite impulse responses for whatever reason, right or wrong, whatever. Those are the ones they like. And yes, they do sound differently with different amps and stuff like that. But for the most part, what I would do is, I'll just change it to my favorite impulse response. Does it sound good with that? Yeah, okay, then I guess I'm okay. I just do a couple tweaks and I'm done. So that's the 80-20 rule, and I think we can all agree that as long as they're 80% there should be 20% left for subjectivity, guitars, pickups, playing styles, and needs and wants and stuff like that. That's perfectly fine. I'm saying that because I don't want people coming in here going, well, they're not all going to be perfect right out of the box. I know that. I know. It's, come on. I don't need to be told they don't have to be perfect out of the box. An amp isn't perfect out of the box. I'm going to have to turn some knobs. I get it. It's Captain Obvious here. Come on, guys, So, and I'm a little hopped up tonight because I'm preparing myself for all the little fanboys to come in here and, have their little fun with this video. But I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm going to ask you politely once. Keep it professional. Let's keep the fanboy stuff down. This is a consumer advocate talking to you right now, helping you to not waste money, to tell you what to look for. I'm testing these in mixes. I'm not the god of all tone. I'm not the god of Helix. My mixes are. My mixes will point out the issues. I don't have to. You'll hear it or not hear it. So, let's let the mixes and the tones do the talking, okay? So, looks like we got 23 people here. Let's see here. Okay, looks like we're doing okay with the stream now, aren't we? Tell me what the stream's like now, guys, because I got a green light here telling me it's looking okay. So hopefully that's the case. Some people are saying the lag is bad. It shouldn't be bad now because I got a green light over here and it looks good. There's a lot of people streaming tonight, so yeah, it looks like we're going to be good for a while, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. So frustrating when you go live and then you see a red light on your screen and you're like, really? Yeah, please let me know how it's looking now because I need to have more people in here before I get started. So I have a list of things I'm going to do tonight because I don't want to get lost and caught up in the comments and maybe some of the butthurt, that might happen tonight. I hope there's not because, like I said, I'm going to be professional about this. And again, if you're going to make presets and charge for them, and some of these people are charging a lot of money for them, you better believe they're going to be reviewed by somebody sometime. If they're good enough to be charged for, then they're good enough to be reviewed as well. I mean, that's kind of the way it is. I would expect the same thing if I made presets, which I may or may not do in the future. I'm talking about doing it on my my website soon. I know I'm going to make 4 cable method presets for using with amps, and I'm going to make presets for Helix too. For people that just want to use presets for whatever reasons. At least I can give them something that I know is tried and true. It's compared to amps because I have amps. They're going to be played in mixes, and I will make sure that they sound good in mixes as well. So it'll all be battle tested when you get them. Okay, so I'm charging my my wireless right here because I stupidly left it on today and it drained the battery for a while. So I'm kind of stalling to wait till that gets charged for a few more minutes here, and then we'll go ahead and start with the demonstrations. Let's see. Okay, so everybody's saying the stream's better now. Okay, good. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, the law says, what about preset makers that don't create a preset using multiple listening devices? Are they thinking about the person buying the preset using studio monitors, headphones, and FRFR powered wedge? Yeah, it's a good question, Jamie. I mean, if you're gonna create presets, you should test them. You should test them in mixes. You should test them on this cab, on that cab, on studio monitors, and you should definitely do that because now again, it can't be all things for all people, but it has to get you 80%. So if you can't give somebody that's 80% what they would need and let them take care of the rest because of subjectivity and individual needs and wants, then you shouldn't be making presets. You should be testing them on, like I have the Freeman cabs, I would test mine on the Freedmans. I would test them on my studio monitors. I would test them with my in-ears, with mixes. And I trust my in-ears too because every time I dial something in and play it on my channel, I watch it afterwards in my car, on my phone with my Bluetooth, on my computer, and on my television upstairs with my home theater system. And it sounds amazing. So I'm like, okay, what I'm hearing here is telling me the truth that when I watch it later, it's going to sound even better. And that's literally how it goes. So I can trust these. They're 5-driver in-ears, and they sound great. So, so I wouldn't release, presets unless I tested it in those ways. Mixes, different things, put it through a power amp and real cab, FRFRs of different, like if you're going to test them just on a head rush FRFR, you're crazy. I mean, why would you release presets that are tested on a plastic speaker that's $299? I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, it's very disrespectful to your customer. And honestly, speaking of customers, if you're someone who bought presets that are terrible, you're not a customer. You're a victim. You're a victim. You got screwed. You got lied to, and there's a lot of that stuff going around. And there's people that take advantage of large groups that are like the Helix group and different other groups that are on the Facebook and stuff like that. And they're like, oh my God, this is great. This is like, low-hanging fruit, easy target, fish in a barrel. All I have to do is get popular in this group and help some people, and I can make some presets and make a killing. And it's like, you know what? I have no problem with people making presets. Not that it's up to me anyways. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the high sheriff of Helix, okay? But if you're going to do that, make them worth buying, you know? So that's really what it comes down to. And if you make something that's worth buying and it actually sounds good, then you got nothing to worry about. I hope you make $1 million and you could buy 5 houses, you know? Good for you. That's the way it works. But if you make crap and you're selling it for a premium or selling it at all for any price at all, these people that are buying this stuff are going on stages and going in studios all over the place, and they're getting laughed at. People are like, dude, that does not sound good. That does not sound good at all. And then you ask, and the same thing happened to me. Like, I'm playing this and I'm going, okay, you know, famous-ish type YouTuber guy, lots of views, lots of people saying all these great things about his presets. I download it, I put it in my, I pay for it, I put it in my, you know, my Helix, and I play it, and I'm like, this is absolutely awful. But then you start doubting yourself and going, am I that far removed from what's good that I actually think that, things that actually are good suck and things that suck are good? You know, have I eaten so much cake and sugar and candy my whole life that I can't stand steak and broccoli? You know, I mean, it's weird, but that's what happens. And you start doubting and all this stuff goes through your head. And then you buy this guy's presets and those guys. The next thing you know, you're down the rabbit hole. And I know guys that have spent several $100, $300, $400, $500 on presets, and they're still not happy. Well, stick around, because after this whole demo and all this, I'm going to do a quick mini clinic for guys that are wondering how to solve the problem and dial in your own presets. Again, I'm not against people making presets because it's none of my business or anything, but I will review them when people ask me to. And the people that do make good presets, like I said, God bless you, man. You're doing everyone a favor. They can reverse engineer it and learn how to create their own after that. And I hope that you make a fortune off of them because you deserve it. You know, that's honestly how I feel. I really do. So let me stop charging my wireless here. I'm going to pop this in. And then we're going to get started on the first preset. And you're probably wondering, why has he got his Kraken down here? What's that all about? Well, we'll find out. Got a little interesting little AB kind of thing that I'm going to do with the Kraken that needs to be done. And we'll be doing that soon. So let me say hello to some people. Looks like I got enough battery to make it through the night. Got a button on my shirt that keeps getting stuck in my guitar here. Alright, so gosh, I was really hoping there'd be more people in here. We got 24. I appreciate the fact that we got 24 people here. I really do. But I was hoping we'd have more. Let's see here. Andrew Stone Rock says, don't charge for presets with stock cabs. You know what? I agree. I really do. While we're on that subject, let me just say real quick. If you're making presets, okay, and you're going to be selling them for whatever price, you know, you should have, especially some of these guys, they have 17,000, 14,000 followers on their pages, way bigger than mine. It's like, I can get a hold of several guys right now. Right now, I can call several guys tonight and have them, you know, create an IR pack for me. No problem. If you got that many subscribers on your page and you can't do that, you're doing something wrong. You know, like you're gonna make presets with stock cabs in them and sell them. The audacity, you know, it's like, it's ridiculous. How lazy can you be? Like, you can't even call or reach out to ML Sound Labs, Ownhammer, Live Ready Sound, or places like that, and get some really good impulse responses. And no offense to Helix and Line 6, I mean, the stock cabs are just, yeah, they're okay, but they're not, you know, they're not anything compared to, you know, really good impulse responses. Why aren't you reaching out to those companies? And then you have the audacity to make presets and then sell them, you know, with stock cabs in them. I don't know, man. I just don't agree with that at all. I just think it's you're taking advantage of your customers, you know, and that's just the way it is. And again, for you guys that are wondering, like, you know, any of the fanboys and stuff like that, or, you know, in the Helix group and stuff that are like, oh man, you're being mean. No, I'm not. I'm on your side. Okay, look at me. I'm on your side. Okay, guy that plays the Helix and loves his Helix. I'm here for you. I'm going to help you make better decisions. I'm going to help you dial in your own tones. I'm going to show you tonight what the better presets sound like and feel like, and I'm going to point you to those places. Okay, I'm going to show you where to get them. There are some good ones in here tonight. So this isn't me just bashing everyone's presets. This is me telling you, you know, honestly, like, okay, this one didn't sound good in a mix, but this one did. And I'm going to make some right here live tonight. I'm going to make presets that blow some of these out of the water. Within a couple minutes, I'll make them. I'll even tell you what I did, you know. And if you guys are interested in them, you know, we'll work something out on you getting them, you know, because a lot of these presets are really difficult looking. And I'm looking at one right now that looks like a big mess. And half of it doesn't make any sense to me. I can make a better preset than some of these in a matter of minutes, and not have to test it everywhere because I already know what works and what doesn't, and I don't have to do all this convoluted crap on this that I'm looking at on the screen here. It just looks like scrambled eggs. Okay, so Aaron Short, are you in here, and did you share this in the Helix group? I was kind of hoping more people would be on. Jason Taylor says, damn, that Temple audio board is like a twin mattress. Yeah, I got to get done early tonight because Goose and Maverick are going to land on here later. Yeah, this thing's huge. You know, I got pedals and all kinds of crazy stuff. I used to have my in-ear system here, but not anymore. Yeah, it's big. Yeah, so, all right. Let me see here. The law says some of the people hanging around those groups don't even make an effort to help others these days. Pay them and you can get all of the one-on-one you want. Read the manual, folks. Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is use common sense with these. There's so much overthinking. You know, there's so many guys like that love the sound of their own voice on YouTube, and they're going, oh, I tweaked this and I moved that there, and I put a compressor here, and I did a high and low shift, and I pulled the EQ out here, then I added it back here, and I split the signal here, and I put that and routed that, and this, and it's like, wow, you sound so intelligent. You know, I mean, it's like, wow, your big words and your stuff is just blowing me away, and I'm looking at your screen and going, wow, I couldn't think of that. And then you play it and you're like, oh, God, that sounds like crap. You know, and then you look at mine, it's just a straight line with maybe another straight line underneath it, and it's just, okay, that works, you know. So it's not about, you know, all the convoluted crap and the big words and the fancy setups. It's just, like I said, it's easy to make things hard, but it's hard to make things simple. And sometimes you just got to make things simple. Let me play the first one. This is a Peavey 6505 Plus. This is it's called GD Peavey 6505 Plus. Let's play this. You guys invite all your friends that play Helix. Invite them to the stream, and we're gonna have a good time tonight. Here we go. Okay, here's what I'm noticing. There is some weird stuff going on here. It's like it's got mush. There's no like pick attack. It's just like this mushy kind of thing. It's just really weird. And there's a LA Studio compressor in front of this. I don't understand why that's there. And you don't put a compressor on a high gain amp. Okay, just so you know. I mean, that's not something anybody should ever do. You don't use a compressor in front of a high gain amp. It just makes everything mushy and weird feeling. You don't put it after it either. Compressors have no business being anywhere on the chain when you're dealing with high gain amps. You just don't do it. Cleans, yes. Acoustic stuff, yes. High gain, absolutely not. I would even put it on a mid gain amp. I just wouldn't do it. You know, it takes all your transients away when you're playing. All the texture and all the attack, it's gone. It just feels mushy, you know. Okay, so let's play it in a mix, all right? Because, hey, mixes matter, right? So here we go. Let's do this. Okay, how does that sound out there? Because to me, it just sounds mushy, flat, dull, lifeless. It sounds honky. It's got that honky, weird, you know, kind of tone to it. It's just not good. You know, it I don't know what to say. It's uninspiring, I'll tell you that. There's no inspiration here at all. I'm inspired to turn my Helix off and walk away. That's what it inspires me to do. And paying for this is like just awful. I would not pay for this. And it has, it has a 4x12 XXL Vintage 30 cab. And then it's got this other thing in it, which is like an impulse response that gives you a Peavey 6505 IR. Okay, and it's supposed to give you something that when you blend it with the other speaker, it tricks the tone into sounding like a 6505. But I've had 6505s down here, and this sounds nothing like a 6505. 6505s are very electric. The top end of them is very alive. There's a lot of texture. There's a lot of crackle. There's a lot of like brittle breakup at the top end, and this has none of it. It just sounds like a muted, nasally kind of, honky amp. It just sounds terrible. So, all right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to create a new preset here. All right, this is going to be real simple. All right, I'm going to grab the same amp, 6505. Real simple. And I could tell this guy put like tons, and I'm going to put a noise gate on here, which he didn't do. Take all that noise out. So you can tell he put a lot of work into this, because there's a 1,000 different things on the screen, and they're routed all kinds of funny ways, and there's IRs that he made and stuff like that, and none of them have helped the tone at all. It just sounds awful and unusable. So I'm going to set up the overdrive, which is the Scream 808. I'm going to set it up how you're supposed to. with the level all the way up. I'm going to put the gain up just a hair. I'm going to put it up at like 1.2, whatever, you know. The amp, I'm going to turn the drive up to like 5.5, and I'll just leave the rest, you know, at wherever it is. And I'm going to put in an impulse response, because if you're going to, you know, I don't know anybody that plays a Helix without impulse responses, so I'm just going to put in just a regular run-of-the-mill impulse response. Let's see what we got. Already sounds much better, so let's take the high cut. Let's just go down to like 10, all right? 10 kilohertz, boom. And let's go back to the amp here. Let's take the treble up to like 5.3. I think the mids and bass are all right. Let's see what we got with that. Okay, so there we are. Let's do a mix now. Let's see how this sounds. Here we go. Alright, way better. Maybe need some adjustments on the gate and stuff like that, but I mean, not bad for 20 seconds worth of work, right? You know, I got an overdrive, I got an amp, and I have a, you know, impulse response, and I'm done. I mean, that's how simple it is. And it blew away the other preset that probably took, I don't know how long he spent on it, but what a waste of time to come up to spend that much time on something and have it sound like that. I mean, it's freaking awful, you know. So let's go to, let me pull up my list here, make sure I'm staying on track. Okay, did the 6505, did it in a mix, had no compressor or gate on it, which if you're going to make a high gain tone and not put or had a compressor on it and no gate, if you're going to make a high gain tone and not put a gate on it, you're crazy. And again, don't put compressors on high gain tones. Huge, huge mistake. Okay, so 06C, let me go to that one. So there's one right there that, you know, and people are probably wondering, well, why didn't you just fix it? It's not redeemable. I mean, if you could see what's on the screen, there's just so much stuff on there. It's like I don't even know where to start, you know? You know, there's just, listen to that. It's just a big loud mess. I mean, how hard is it to just turn the gate on? You know, there's one on the you know, you don't have to put a block in there. I mean, geez, you know, put that on there. You know, that's not hard to do. And it would solve a lot of problems. But it's not just the gate, it's just the whole thing. Seriously, it's four, what was it, like 4 or 5 lines of just stuff. And it's like, where do you start? It's like a needle in a haystack. Where do you even start, you know? So you're better off just starting over again and then just creating good tone to begin with, not adding all this crap to it. making sure that sounds good, and then put it, put all your stuff on there, all your effects and stuff. It's real simple. Now, the thing that I noticed in that mix was all the chugs and the picking and the palm mutes and all that stuff. All of that, there was texture there, not as much texture as a real amp because, we're talking about modeling here, not real amps, but there was way more texture than the paid preset. So all of the stuff I was doing stood out in the mix much, much better. And again, I only took a few minutes, not even that, to make it, and it was already, a lot better. So, and it felt better. There wasn't that weird mush kind of crumbly, like, I don't know, there was something weird going on there with the compressor. Yeah, that stuff was gone. It was just very clear, very clean, very articulate, and I bet it sounded a lot better to you guys. Make sure here. I'm getting messages. All right. Brett Murphy. Oh, there's the guitar. Right? I mean, there was no top end. It was just this weird, honky, muted, blanketed thing, and it doesn't stick out in a mix. So, I mean, you can't do that. So Aaron says, yeah, much better. Let me see here. Yo, Mofo, what's going on? What's your best recommendation for FRFR cabs to run in stereo? We had a shootout here a while back, and the Freeman ASC 12s won. So the ASC 12s are great. They really are. Let's see here. Andrew Stone Rock says that kind of tone leaves you feeling like you need a shower or a colostomy bag. Yeah, it's crazy, But I mean, the rule is you don't put compressors in front of a high gain amp. Are there exceptions to the rule? Yeah, occasionally there's exceptions depending on what you're doing. Somebody mentioned in here split coil and stuff like that. Fine. So the stuff that I'm saying tonight, let's just make a blanket statement. There are exceptions to that, but let's not split hairs about every little freaking thing that I say about, well, maybe I'll use it here or there. Okay, there's exceptions. Maybe you will. But for the most part, you don't make patches with high gain amps with, with compressors in front of them. Nobody does that, Okay. So next, now, I have to make an announcement because I must have missed the memo because I didn't know this, but in one of the updates, Helix actually got a Victory Kraken amp sim in it. I don't know if you guys knew that. You might want to go to Line 6's website right now and get that update, because I'm looking in my Helix right now and I'm seeing in a paid preset Victory VX the Kraken amplifier in here, which I think is just incredible. So tonight, later, I'm going to have to go online and get that because holy cow, I've been missing out this whole time. So now we know why I have the Kraken here, right? Because this paid preset has a Victory Kraken in it. And it's supposed to sound just like a Kraken. And there's an impulse response in here to make sure that it does, because it's supposed to trick it up and give it like some kind of tone matching thing and give you that Victory Kraken experience. Well, we're going to go ahead and check that and make sure that it does sound like a Victory Kraken, which I have right here. That's going to be interesting. Oddly enough, though, the amp that's in here for the Victory Kraken patch is a Line 6 Epic. How weird. So I know you have to change the name, of things when you model them, but you usually get close. Maybe it would be called the Victory Cracker or, something like that. I don't know. Or the Cranky Monster or something. But the Line 6 Epic, interesting. Last I checked, the Line 6 Epic has been in there for a while, and it's not based on the Victory Kraken. But let's hear it, shall we? I bet you this is going to sound incredible. Here we go. Wow, that sounds incredible. Let's do something here. Let's fire up the Kraken, and I have a patch here that's 4-cable method that will allow me to run it 4-cable, and let's see if the Kraken sounds anything close to that, huh? Let's do this. Yeah, not even close. You know what? Just stop. I mean, you're going to make something that's supposed to sound like an amp that's not even available in the Helix, number one. And number two, you're going to charge people for that. And number three, it doesn't even sound remotely close to the amp that you're saying that it resembles. I mean, that is as far away from this amp as the East is from the West. I mean, it makes zero sense why you would even think about selling this. Why would you sell this? Why would you charge people for this? You know, and have people pay money for you to, you know, send this to them and to sound like that. I mean, it doesn't sound anywhere close to it. It sounds like a dull, you know, just lifeless, muted, and it feels terrible. So there's really no life to it at all. Let's go back to it, and we're going to go ahead and play it in a mix. Let me turn this guy, mute this guy here, and we're going to play it in a mix and see what's what. Yeah, did not stick out in the mix very well at all. Now, I had the room mic on. Let me mute it, and we'll do that again because I don't want anybody having excuses because I know how that goes. Hang on one second. Okay, so did not stand out in the mix very well at all. Very dull and lifeless. There's no texture. There's no pick attack. There's none of that cool riffy stuff. None of it. Nothing that I was playing really stuck out. It just sounded very muted. So while this is kind of heating up here, I'm going to play the real Kraken in the same mix, and we'll see how that comes out, and then we'll talk about that afterwards. Here we go. 1 second, I had the Helix, I didn't mute the Helix, so what you're hearing is it going through the Helix as well. That's why it sounded funny. So many things to remember tonight. Alright, so I turned the Helix off, and all you're hearing is the mic'd cab across the room. Here we go. Much better. Much better. You could hear all the chugs, all the different things I was doing, that really nice texture on top, the pick attack, all the riffs stood out, every note I played stood out, there was no muted weird thing, and it stood out in a mix big time the way it should. The other one was muted, and here's the problem with having stuff that sounds like muddy and honky and stuff like that, and blanketed. The issue is, you probably think, well, you just turn it up. Well, if you turn it up, all that stuff, all those horrible frequencies go up with it. So now it's even more muddy and more. So all the mud, the honkiness, that weird dark blankety kind of thing, it all comes up with it, and it all gets exaggerated with it as well. The nice thing about having, an amp as a reference is it's telling you what you're missing out on the real tone. It's telling you you're missing a lot of high end here. And there's a lot of frequencies that are missing, and it felt awful to play. So in comparison to, this fake, Kraken, preset, compared to the real Kraken, I mean, again, there's no comparison. It doesn't sound anything like it, number one, and number two, it's not even a Kraken amp sim that's in here. So it's like, why are you making stuff like this and charging people for it? And then they if I was Kraken, I'd be pissed. If I was Victory amps, I'd be pissed, because I'd be like, dude, you're misrepresenting our amps. Because a lot of times what people do is they even amp makers are glad to have their amps in some of the different profilers or modelers out there, because it's a great advertising thing for them. It's kind of like, well, maybe if they like what they hear in there, if it's something that we put our stamp of approval on, maybe they'll buy our amp, because it's like, well, if this is good, I wonder what the real amp's like. This would tell me to steer clear of Victory amps 100%, because it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like the amp at all. I would never buy a Victory amp based on that. And you heard the real amp, no fancy tricks, nothing. I just got it mic'd up on a Mesa 4x12 cab, and that's it. So I mean, it just goes to show, like, you should not be, making presets of amps that aren't even in the Helix and telling people that this is a Victory Kraken. It's not in there. There's other ones in here. There's a Diesel VH4. Where's that at? Here we go. Here's a VH4. Let me play that real quick. That does not sound like a Diesel VH4. I have a VH4 module, and from Synergy, it doesn't sound anything like it. It sounds kind of muddy and dull and honky and weird as well. I mean, doesn't represent that amp at all, And again, it's not in here. There's no model of it in here. This is the Line 6 Electric is what this amp is what's in here. And then he put his little IR in here to make it sound like the VH4, but it doesn't sound anything like it. Again, like the tone matching thing, well, it didn't match the tone. I can tell you that right now, because again, I have one, and it doesn't match the tone of that at all. So, let's see here. I'm reading a message here. Okay, so Aaron Short, I'd love to hear him back to back. I can't do it back to back because I'd have to switch this on and mute the Helix and stuff like that. So there's really no way of doing that. So I can't really do that. I'm sorry. I'm just not set up for that tonight. I mean, it's a lot of work just setting this up. So, okay. So all right. So let's do something else. Let me pull up my list here, and all right. Here, let's go to. Let's do the 06A. Let's do the 5150. Where are we at here? Let's do that one. Whoa. All right, so no gate. I just turned that on, so that was simple. I'm just going to play this raw in a mix, and let's see what we got. Let me take this thing down here. Okay, and again, this is nothing personal. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm not trying to, make personal attacks on anyone or anything like that. I'm just reviewing presets here and telling you what I think. That's really what it is. And some of these people are probably really nice people, but it's just like, check your presets. Check them against real stuff, put them in mixes, and do stuff like that, and make sure that your math is checked, because what I'm doing here is I'm finding out that there's some stuff that's just missing, and it's not hair splitting and nitpicky, because you can hear the mix. It doesn't sound right. I'm a metal player. I've been a metal player my whole life. I'm 50 years old, and I know what metal sounds are supposed to be like and how they're supposed to feel, and I play real amps, and these don't sound or feel like that. Okay, so let's check this in the mix. Let me just do a quick sound check, make sure I got the volume levels right. Okay, so same thing. It's kind of got that weird, dull kind of thing to it. It's got what do we got here? Compressor, in front of the amp again, which is really taking all of the pick attack out. Let me turn it off, see what we got. No, it doesn't really help it that much. I mean, it's just got this weird kind of dirty kind of weird thing going on. There's not a lot of clarity there. So let's do this. This is a Peavey 5150, and it's based on a Peavey Panama, so that's good. We at least have the same amplifier in here. So let's do this. Let's go and make a 5150 tone. All right, let's do that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the 5150 amp, which is the Peavey Panama. Might have already done this, but I'll do it again. Getting lost in all this stuff tonight. I'm getting messages from people that are not really agreeing with some of the stuff I'm doing here. It's kind of funny. Well, make better presets, man. Turn the gain down. Tone at 5. I'm doing the overdrive right now. And that's the other thing. If you're going to play metal, 90% of the guys are going to use an overdrive pedal. It's just the way it is. Get a good impulse response. Okay. Let's see how this sounds right out of the box. All right, let's hear this one in a mix. Here we go. Okay, so on that one you could hear all the texture much better, all the pick attack, all the different things that I was doing stood out in the mix better. It didn't sound kind of honky and muted and all that. So, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. And I got 3 blocks here, not 15. So it just goes to show you don't need all that stuff to make the Helix sound good. I don't have tone matching IRs because they're not necessary. And it just keep it simple. You know, it's really all you got to do. So, all right, let's move on to the next section here, where I'm going to do. Let's see, where was I? So I did that. And if you notice, like how quick I'm making patches that sit in a mix much better and feel better and sound better. It's not a lot of work, guys. I mean, the Helix is made so that you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to call NASA and get the whole Encyclopedia Britannica to be able to operate it. It's simple. All you have to do is just put in the blocks that you like, get some good impulse responses, and just use common sense with the rest of your effects, and you're good. Does that mean you should never buy presets? No. I mean, there's guys out there that make some pretty good presets, and they're doing some really interesting things with them that you can learn from by reverse engineering, or they'll give you ideas that you might not have ever thought of with routing and different things like that. And a lot of them, sound really good. They sound pretty darn good, and you can use those and tweak them and use them for whatever you want because they'll be 80% there. But a lot of these that I've been doing so far are not 80% there. They're just not for what I'm doing, not for the mixes I'm playing tonight. And when I watch this back upstairs, I'll hear it for myself too. I'll hear how the ones that I spent a few minutes on sounded better in the mix and stood out better, and all the riffs that I was playing stood out better. Because if I'm going to work that hard on playing properly, I want a preset that will show that. So that's basically how it is. A preset is kind of like a window into your playing. A preset that doesn't really highlight what you're doing is kind of like a dirty window, I want the cleanest window I can get, and I'm not even done fine-tuning that preset that I made. I just kind of slapped it together really quick just to do this, So All right, so next is we're going to do one called Modern Metal, because I'm sticking kind of with amps and maybe patches that are kind of around what I do, so that I'm not coming out of my wheelhouse here. You know, I know what my lane is, and I'm trying to stay in my lane. So I'm going to do the Modern Metal. And okay, so let's go to that one. All right. Where are you, Modern Metal? You are right here. Okay. Oh, no noise gate. There we go. That'll solve that problem. Okay, so let me play it real quick and we'll see what we got. Okay, that sounds really muddy and, you know, honky as well. This is from a different preset maker. So I'm all done with the previous one. I'm sure there's some good ones in the cleans and stuff, but I haven't played a metal one by the previous gentleman that I have found that I liked, you know, yet. I've searched high and low, and all of them just didn't work for me. Again, this is my opinion, but the mixes pretty much tell the tale. You know, so all right, so here we're at Modern Metal. This is a Line 6 Fatality, and what we have here is there was no gate. I turned it on, and there's no overdrive, which is a huge no-no with any metal preset. They should all have an overdrive on them. And let's hear this in a mix. I mean, the frequencies that I'm getting are extremely annoying. They're bugging the hell out of my ears. But let's hear how it sounds in a mix and see what we got. No. This one here, what I'm hearing is it's muddy, and it's almost like a droning kind of sound that I'm getting. It's like when I'm even doing that whole thing, I just heard and there was stuff in the middle, like you could tell I was doing something, but there was like this droning thing that was going on, and it just didn't articulate anything that I was playing at all. It just had this horrible droning sound. You know, and I just, again, if you have 17,000 followers on YouTube and you have access to all kinds of different companies out there who make, you know, presets and stuff like that, and you're, you know, actually this particular individual could play me under the table. Way better guitar player than I am. Way better. And what's really sad is this is what is being sold, you know, on the marketplace. And it literally, like, I'm a sound engineer too. I've ran live sound for many, many bands at many, many venues many times. And something like this, I would immediately be like, oh God, we got to fix this. Like, I have to EQ the living daylights out of this guy's tone, or else everyone's going to be running for cover as soon as the band starts playing. There's all kinds of horrible frequencies coming out of here. There's like on the end here, you got a parametric EQ. You have like this studio compressor at the end, and you have these different volume blocks. You got one that's pushing at 10 dBs, another one that's, you know, I don't know if it's an active. No, it's not an active volume block. I don't know. It just, there's a lot of stuff on here that just doesn't make sense. Why would you pull a bunch of stuff out of an amp and then put it back in a parametric EQ afterwards? Why don't you just dial in the amp properly, and you won't really need an EQ, to be honest with you. And whatever frequencies he's boosting here are literally annoying the living crap out of my ears. And I'm just being honest. I'm just trying to tell you, like, what I'm hearing here is not making me, want to, it's not inspiring me to play. I don't want to play this. And it, again, in the mix, all you heard was like a muddy kind of like thing that was going on, almost like a droney type thing in the background. And I just don't think that is something that, would work in any mix, and this is called modern metal. I don't hear anything modern metal about this at all. I just don't. Let me see what I can do. Let's go to a new preset. Line 6 Vitality, huh? Alright, well, let's go down here. I'm going to grab a... put in the Scream 808 because that's modern metal. You got to use an overdrive pedal. That's just normal. It gives you that nice, top end, and it tames the low end, and it feels great. Pushes the amp. The amp's more responsive. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't use one that plays metal. But hey, I could be wrong. And again, if you have that many followers and you don't have the common sense to reach out to, all these companies that would love to work with you because you're an amazing player and you have 17,000 followers and, all that, why wouldn't you reach out to and work with impulse response makers? I mean, I'm sure they'd be chomping at the bit to work with you. But maybe people buy your stuff so easily because of, your status in certain groups that you don't need to really try anymore. Maybe that's what it is. All right, let me play this. All right, let's try that in a mix. Okay, that definitely felt better, and it sounded better. I had more of the texture in the top end. Not my favorite Line 6 Helix amp model, though. I mean, it's kind of a, kind of a goofy amp. It doesn't sound, I don't think it sounds all that good. It's probably about the best I can get it. I mean, I could probably tweak the living daylights out of it and get some more stuff out of it, but the top end on this particular, amp is kind of weird. But anyways, I mean, without all the splits and the before and after, EQs and compressors and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it just sounded better. I didn't have to spend a lot of time on it either. So I don't know what that stuff's all about, but it sure didn't help it there. I mean, you just heard it in a mix, and the one that I just dialed in definitely stood out in the mix better. You could hear all the pick attack and all the different things that matter to metal players much better. It didn't sound like a droning kind of thing going on in the background. You could hear all the notes that I was playing. And again, with metal, articulation is key. You have to have a preset that really articulates the stuff that you're doing. Okay? All right, so let me read a few comments here and see where we're at. The law, I don't like this one at all. I don't like it either, I mean, yeah, all presets need tweaking, but again, these aren't 80-20. These are like 20-80. I mean, seriously, I mean, that first one, the one I just played, modern metal one, that sounds so bad. I don't even know where to start with it. I mean, it's just like, scrap it. Start over, do something better, I mean, and I did. I started over, and I made something better, and it was easy. It only took a few minutes. So, again, I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand. Like, test it in a mix. Test it in a mix. And I know my mixes are getting kind of repetitive, but I want to be consistent here. But I'm going to change mixes in a minute and do something else, because I got some other stuff I want to show you guys. And again, I'm not trying to flame anybody. It's just, if you're going to charge, sometimes, $25-30 for stuff like this, and it's just not, and have it sound like that. I mean, come on. And again, I play real amps. Here's a real amp right here. I compare things to real amps, and they don't sound like it. It doesn't sound like a real amp at all. And some of you guys that are making these presets, you don't have an amp in your house. You haven't played one in years. How can you say that, how can you even think about how something sounds like, oh, this sounds great, or this sounds real, or whatever, when you haven't compared it to a real amp? And some of you guys watching that are making presets, you have amps. I've seen them in your videos. They're right behind you. And how dare you sell this stuff and have all these amps behind you, and you haven't even compared it to them? And if you have, and you just turned a blind or a deaf ear to it, and you released it anyways. Because I just proved to you, especially with that Kraken one, it doesn't sound like a Kraken. It doesn't sound anything near like a Kraken at all. And you're selling this. What the hell is wrong with you? You might be a nice guy. You might be real friendly on YouTube and stuff, and God bless you. But son of a bitch, man, you're selling these presets for money that people, I mean, musicians are broke. And they're paying this stuff, and they're taking this stuff in studios and on stages and at their practice place, everywhere they go, and they're being laughed at. Sound guys all over the place are looking at these guys and going, dude, I can't make that work in my board, dude. We got to fix that. Do you know how many times 3 years ago when I was playing out a lot, I would bring this thing and put it on the floor on a stage, and I have the sound guy walk out to me and go, oh God, another one of those things? It's because of presets like that he says that. Yeah, I've had so many guys come up to me and say, well, yeah, but I bought these presets. These are made by so-and-so and such, and they're amazing. And then sound guys like, no, they're not. They sound like crap in my board, dude. I got to go out there and fix all that crap. I don't know how many times I've played Machine Shop. I've played, all the clubs in the area, all of them. And every time for a while, sound guys would see that thing and be like, oh God, another one of those things tonight. I'm not kidding you. It happens. It happens. So if you're going to make presets and you got amps to compare them to the amps and be honest with yourself. Because if you don't, I will. And that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm comparing them to amps. I'm comparing them to what they should be, and they're not stacking up. So don't be mad at me. Be mad at yourself for not doing your homework. And that's what's really sad about this, is that people all over the place are being ripped off and taken advantage of by crappy presets like this. and they're paying good money for it and wondering why people don't like how they sound. This is why. Okay? And yeah, I'm passionate about it. You know why? Because I got ripped off too. I did. You know, I got ripped off several times by some of these guys. You know, and it's really sad. It's really sad when you go in the studio and you're all excited about something that you spent a bunch of money on, and your engineer is like, dude, we can't use that in the mix, man. I reamped with it and it doesn't sound good. You know, we're going to have to figure out something else. But I paid for this. Well, I'm sorry. It's just not going to work. You know, the sculpting I have to do to your tone to make it sit in the mix properly is just not worth my time. You know, we're going to have to just get a real amp, or you're going to have to come in with another patch, and we're going to have to redo this because it doesn't work. You know, so, I mean, that's where I'm at with this. So you can be mad at me all you want, but again, be mad at yourself because you should have done your homework. You know, you really should have. And you guys that are making these presets that, you know, you don't have an amp in the house, and I suggest that you compare it to one. I suggest that you borrow one from a friend or try it in some mixes or whatever, because if you're releasing this stuff without even checking it against a real amp, I mean, seriously, like that's just wrong. It's unethical. It really is unethical. You know, and I suggest that you change your ways. I really do, because I would never release a preset that I didn't test in mixes, several different speaker monitors, whether it's an FRFR or a regular studio monitor, a real cab and power amp, and against a real amp. Now, I know this is a modeler. We all know that. It's not going to sound perfectly 100% like a real amp, but it should be at least close enough to where people can be, like, they can buy it with confidence. And how many people are running around right now with horrible presets in their Helix thinking that they're good? And then you got the group think in some of these groups on Facebook that just back it up, and they flame you for saying anything otherwise. Like, yeah, I just don't like this. Oh, no, mine sounds great. Oh, it's probably just you, you know, and this and that, because everybody wants to pile on and sit at the cool kids table. Well, I don't want to sit at the cool kids table if their tone sounds like this. No way. All right, so next is, let's see here, modern metal. We're going to do the Rev Gen Red. Okay, we're going to do that. Let me find it real quick. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest the Line 6 Fatality. It's just okay. It's not really the best amp in there. No offense, Line 6. I know that there's all things to all people. There's all kinds of different people that like different things, but that wasn't really my favorite. Again, I'm not the end-all be-all, but here it is. Rev Gen Red. Let's just play a couple riffs and play this in a mix. Here we go. Same thing, had that droney kind of thing to it. I wasn't hearing a lot of articulation in between the palm mutes and stuff like that, and then when I did the run at the end, I just heard all the notes kind of mush together. there wasn't a whole lot of separation. So what you want is you want articulation, you want note separation, and you want clarity. And I wasn't getting any of those three things there. And this is the heavy plus setting on the Rev Gen Red. It's the Rev Generator Amp, you know, the new one that Helix put in there, and it's got this weird noise. There's something weird going on here. So you have the EQ tilt, you have the parametric EQ, and then you have a compressor in this at the end, and none of it makes any sense. It didn't help it at all. I don't know if it hurt it or help it, but it sure didn't. It didn't help it. You know, all that stuff on there didn't make it any better. So I don't really see, you know, any reason why that would work. In a mix, again, it's just muddy. There's no overdrive, and again, heavy plus. I'm assuming that's kind of a metal setting. Why would you not have an overdrive in there? Why would you not have that in there? Why are you using stock cabs? And why are you putting all two EQs? Why do you got two EQs in there? You know, you got two EQs and a compressor at the end. Makes zero sense to me at all. None. Nobody does that. Nobody. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm being passionate here or whatever, but it's just, you know, it's been months and months people have been asking me to do this, and this is all kind of fresh with me because just the other day I bought these and put them in my Helix and was literally like I'm still dealing with the initial shock and disgust with how these sound and feel. Because again, I got real amps here. I've been playing them for weeks and weeks and weeks on my show every Wednesday night, and I'm so used to how amazing they sound and feel, and I'm not getting any of that here. Now, for any of you guys that are doubting me and saying, oh, well, you just don't know, blah, 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 spend a couple weeks with an amp. I challenge you to borrow an amp from a friend. Spend a couple weeks with that. Don't play this. Don't play your favorite patch on here for 3 weeks. Play the amp instead, and then go back to this, and you will find out exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if the patch still sounds good to you after playing an amp, well, then you got a good patch. But if it doesn't, you'll know. These will tell you everything you need to know. These and mixes will tell you everything you need to know. Again, I mean, if you want to see how straight your line is, put a ruler next to it. Don't get mad at the ruler because your line's all squiggly. You're the one that drew the squiggly line. If you used a ruler in the first place, you wouldn't have that problem, would you? So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just putting a ruler up against all this stuff, and I'm seeing a lot of wavy lines here that make no sense at all. This wouldn't stand out in a mix. Now here's the other thing. This is so muddy that if I double tracked it, because when you record guitars in pretty much any band, any genre of music, you double track. So if I double track this, how much more muddy would that sound? It would be so muddy sounding. You know? I mean, I just don't understand that. I mean, I did pre-make this because I'm trying to save time. Here's my Rev, all right, and then I have the Modern Metal right next to it, and another one. So let me just play mine real quick and show you. Okay, again, in that one I got 3 blocks. I got the Rev Amp, an IR, and an overdrive. And I heard all the picking, all the pick attack, all the note separation, all of the different things, my runs, all that stuff did not have like this gooey kind of glue gluing all the notes together. It stood out in a mix. I could easily double track that and not have a bunch of mud in the mix. And I didn't have to put 2 EQs and a compressor in there. And I honestly think a lot of people that, people are buying this compressor and 2 EQ tilt stuff, hook, line, and sinker, because, oh, wow, this guy must really know what he's doing, because he's got all this stuff on there. Again, it's easy to make things difficult. It's hard to make things simple, and a lot of times you just got to weed through all that stuff, make a simple patch, and just trust the Helix. Trust this product. And on that note, I honestly think that a lot of these people that are affiliated with Line 6 that are making these patches are giving the Helix a bad name, because the Helix actually is better. It's actually better than than how it's being represented by these people that are affiliated with it, that are on their marketplace and making patches for it. They're making the Helix look bad. They really are, because the Helix is better than this. I can't believe that there's not a vetting process there that they're not looking at and going, yeah, you know what, dude, you're a great player and you're a nice guy, but you need to go back to the drawing board and make your presets a little better, because we don't want people to to get these and hear this and play this and think that it's the Helix that's the problem. It doesn't do well for your brand, Line 6. It really doesn't. You really need to take a second look at these presets and and have a better vetting process. You need to tighten the net a little bit. And I'm saying that out of respect for you guys, because it is a great product. I've had this for a long time. I love my Helix. It's great. It's awesome with 4 cable method, which I played earlier with this amp and any other amp out there. I love this product. This thing is a lifesaver when it comes to going out and touring and playing gigs, and having it for 4 cable method with amps. It'll work with any amp, and it's amazing. The effects are great, simple to use, easy to dial in. You don't need to call NASA for nothing. You can dial in presets on this, as I proved several times tonight, in minutes, and have them sound good. You don't need all this stuff. And again, if you guys are going to be on Marketplace and you're going to be selling stuff like this and asking high dollar for it, good for you. I hope that you make a fortune. But I also hope that your presets are worth it. And so far, all the ones that I've played tonight, I wouldn't buy. I wouldn't buy. And I'm not going to apologize for saying that, because I'm just being honest. I would not buy any of these, even though I did. But I bought them for the review of the show. Now, okay, so let me see what's next. Okay, I might have to take a quick break here. Let me pull this up. All right, so I did the Rev Gen Red, I did the Modern Metal. Okay, and all right, let me do this. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Carrie from Tone Wars. We're going to go live in just a few minutes, but before we do, I just wanted to take a few seconds to say a few things. Jared and I really appreciate when you guys tune in and interact with us when we go live. We work very hard to make sure that our live streams and our produced videos are educational and entertaining for everyone. Believe it or not, there's a lot of work that goes into our live streams and our produced videos. So if you like what you're experiencing here, here's a couple ways you can help us out. The Super Chat feature is turned on, and any amount will be appreciated. Jared is also available for private consultation for a nominal fee. You can contact Jared through 2 of the links below. One is through our Tone Wars Facebook page, and the other is through email. So thank you so much for your support. The live stream's about ready to start, so go pour yourself your favorite glass of whiskey or other libation, and we'll be right with you. Cheers!
Welcome to Tone Wars. Okay, so I was just told I better go in and read some comments, so thanks, Jamie. Let me do that. All right, so before I move on to the next segment, I'm going to do some more reviews, and then I'm going to do a quick clinic afterwards. So let's do this. Oh, Jason Taylor, dude, thank you so much. I'll be the first to bite, he says. Jared, keep it up. How could anyone not get something out of this channel? Dude, thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, like I usually do like amp reviews and stuff like that. Every once in a while, I'll do something like this where it's more of a consumer advocate type thing. If I get enough people reaching out to me and say, you know, hey, have you tried this? What are your thoughts on it? And I will. I'll try it, and I'll be like, and if it's really good, I'll be like, dude, it's awesome. Thanks for telling me about it. Or I'll be like, oh my God, it's awful. And then they'll be like, yeah, I didn't want to, color your opinion, but I wanted to see if I was the only one that thought that way. And then they were doing this with all these presets and saying, you got to try these, you got to try, and we want to know what you think. And I had so many people reach out to me and ask me to do this video. And I know I'm going to catch a bunch of hate over it from all the little fanboys, everybody at the cool guys table, over this. But you know what? I don't care. If you guys, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, all you fanboys that are butthurt about this, if you guys want to continue sounding like what some of these presets sound like tonight, be my guest. Go ahead. I choose not to. And hopefully other people that see this video will also do the same. And I mean that with all due respect. What I would say to you guys is test your tones in a mix against real amps, against presets that you would dial in yourself with better impulse responses or whatnot. I'm just telling you, I would never buy a preset pack with stock cabs in it. I think that's the most insulting thing you can do to your customers. Yeah, here's some stock crap for you. And then some of these are like, here's the Rev Gen Red. Here's with the gain at 9 o'clock. Ooh, here it is with 10 o'clock. And then, oh my God, 11 o'clock. And then 12 o'clock. And you've got to be freaking kidding me. The gain is even at 1 o'clock on one of them, or even 2 o'clock. And then there's one where it's extreme, and the gain's all the way up. You would have never thought to turn the gain up that high, or even any of those other settings. But this guy made the patch for you, and he just broke all the rules. And just, man, boy, he did some research on how to turn the gain knob up. And that's what you paid for. So that you could see what the gain's like at 1, 2, 3, 12, 9, 8 o'clock, whatever, because you would have never been able to do that yourself. So it's a good thing you bought the patch, right? And then there's the tilt EQ and the compressors and all that stuff that don't belong in the chain at all on heavy metal amps, but hey, they're there. So, I mean, come on. Geez, I hope I'm making my point here. I really do. And yeah, I'm getting this way a little bit because I am irritated with some of this stuff. It's irritating when you play some of this stuff and find out how horrible it sounds. Very, very irritating. So Aaron's asking, how are you playing the real Victory? Is it through an IR or direct? No, the Victory is just hooked up. 4-cable method through the Helix, and then it's through a real mic'd up cab. I'm doing that because IRs are supposed to sound like real mic'd up cabs, right? So why not show what a real mic'd up cab sounds like with a Victory Kraken on it, especially compare it to someone who's making a preset with a Victory Kraken in it, and it sounded nothing like it. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. If I was to make a preset in the Helix that's supposed to sound like the Victory Kraken, I would test it against it and make sure that it sounds like it. And if I can't get it to do it, I would scrap it and say, well, I guess I can't sell that in good conscience. That's how you do it. Because your name's everything, right? Like your business. I mean, you don't want to be known for selling stuff that's not legit, right? I mean, why would you do that? It just doesn't make sense. Let's see here. Let's see here. I'm just trying to... the law says independence is a good start, but the Helix also uses ADDA conversion, or impedance, sorry. They are easy ways to combat extra brightness, and I would start with snapshots, bypassable EQ, if impedance doesn't help. Yeah, I've never had any issues with it. I hear what you're saying, though. I appreciate you saying that. But I've always had really good tones when I run mine 4-cable method. Helix is an awesome unit for that. It really is. Oh, Ed Hitchie, referring to the 2 specific Canadians doing these videos. Yeah, man. There's some guys that are really taking advantage of people, and they're selling the living daylights out of presets, and people are none the wiser. And there's people. I'm a sound guy, like I said. I am. I run sound all the time. I run sound for my show. I run sound for my band when we went out and played a lot. Other bands, stuff like that. Ran sound for church. I've ran sound for all kinds of things. And if a guy went on stage with some of these presets, I would notice it immediately. I would be like, okay, I've even had issues with guys that have had horrible tone, and I've walked up to them and said, hey man, I'm really having a hard time hearing you in the mix. I got your meter exactly like the other guitar players, but for some reason, I'm not hearing you, dude. So what do you got going on here? And then one guy literally had his treble knob on his guitar all the way down. He's playing on, the neck pickup in his amp. He had the tone down. He's like, yeah, I'm going for a doomy thing. And I'm like, dude, no one's going to hear you. I'm like, I'm serious, man. I feel really bad telling you this, but either you fix that or no one's going to hear you tonight. You're almost better off going home. Why are you even here? No one's going to hear one note that you're playing. You're actually adding a bunch of mud to the mix, and it's just screwing everything up. Can you fix your tone, please? And the guy refused to do it. And it was like, all right, you're going to have a crappy mix. That's what I'm talking about. As a sound guy, I was very... I'm always trying to talk to people. I don't just sit there and go, oh, well, I'll just let you sound like crap. I'll always come up and try to help you and go, hey, man, having some issues with whatever. Let's see if we can fix it. Because I'm a guitar player, obviously, too, and I don't want somebody working so hard on their stuff and then showing up and not being able to be heard in the mix. What a shame that would be, huh? I want the guy to be heard. That's my job. And he's not out front, I am. So I'm trying to tell the guy what he needs to fix so we can hear him. And these tones here tonight, if I boosted them so that they would sound good, sound like audible in a mix, I would be boosting all these horrible frequencies too. And people would be just covering their ears. They just don't sound good. All right. Let's move on to the next set of things here. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to, this is, let me find it here. All right, here is one called the Helix Trifecta. All right, let me play a few riffs on this. It doesn't even sound like a guitar. It doesn't sound like an amp. It sounds like a keyboard imitating a guitar. It's just so much slathered on effects here. I'm not really hearing the tone of the amp at all. I'm just hearing, just chorus or whatever this detune thing is on here. It's just dull. There's no pick attack. You can't hear the note separation. It's just like this dark, muted, very, very overly processed sound. And again, honestly, if you know how they have those keyboards that have the guitar setting on them? That's what this sounds like. It sounds like a parody of a guitar. Let me play it in a mix. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, no definition in this at all. There's just a lot of mud and effects, and it literally sounds like I'm playing a keytar right now. Um, I've reviewed this individual's presets before, and nothing's changed. These sound exactly the same, and they're supposed to not be cut and paste, just like the last ones that he reviewed, which were Pasadena Proud, but these are exactly the same. There's just horrible, too much chorusy weirdness, overly processed, does not sound like a guitar, sounds like a cartoon parody kind of version of guitar. It literally sounds like if you were watching some kind of like kid sitcom on Nickelodeon, and the kid was like a guitar player and he's the cool kid in school, and and he played guitar. This is what it would sound like. Like, here I am in my bedroom playing guitar, and it's just like this weird, overly processed gobbledygook, and it just doesn't sound right, at all. It's got that droney thing, and this individual also has, many followers on YouTube, has access to probably a lot more stuff than I do, and we're using stock cabs. We're not using anything special here at all. In fact, let me try something here. This is the Rev Gen Red. So this is the Rev General. Does this sound like a Rev amp? I don't think it does. It sounds like a very overly processed amplifier. Let me do something here. I'm going to switch through different amps and see if there's a big difference with the different amplifiers, because there's so much effects and processing going on here. I wonder if you can even tell if I change amps if there's a difference or not. I'm sure there's going to be some here and there, but let's just see. What the hell. Very little difference. I mean, yeah, there's some stuff, but it doesn't really, there's not a whole lot of difference here at all. I mean, I'm not hearing anything that makes me want to try any amp. I mean, all the amps sound the same pretty much, so it's like pick an amp, Why bother doing something with the new Rev module, or the new Rev model that's in here that everyone was excited about, if you're just going to slather it full of crap and cover it up with all that chorus and detuned stuff and weird stuff, and it just doesn't sound like a Rev anymore. It just sounds like an processed cartoon amplifier, and it's just another thing. It doesn't stick out in a mix properly. But I'm going to do something in a minute here that'll be fun. What's up, Paul Raymond? How you doing? Lee McCarran. Yes, it is. To your question, yes, it is, and it's ghastly. It's not even redeemable. It's just not. No, not you, Jason Taylor. That's a different one. Nope, not you. I'm trying to go back here. Jamie told me to read some of these comments here. Robbie Tim says, pickups do matter when you're dialing presets. My SD custom is vastly different than my Juggernauts, and patches created with either one of them sound really different with the other set. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, pickups do matter, but that goes back to the 80-20 thing. Is the preset at least 80% what I want it to be, and then I can 20% to make it work for me. In other words, my pickups, the speaker cab, the style of music that I play, my personal taste, subjectivity, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, there should be a 20% kind of wiggle room there. But with this, it's none of it's right. All of it's wrong. There's way too much effects going on. The feel is okay, but the sound is just, I mean, come on, listen to this. there's so much effects piled on here, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't sound like a guitar. It doesn't sound like an amp. You have to admit that. It does not sound like an amp at all. So let's do this. Here's something that I'm going to do right now. I'm going to debunk something here. Let's do a mix real quick. Now I'm going to do two different versions of a mix. Let's see here. Where is it? I'm trying to find. Oh, it's down here. All right. So this particular individual who makes these patches, he's always playing on his channel to backing tracks, and people are like, "Wow, it sounds amazing," blah blah blah. Wow, that's a great patch. I should get this and everything. The problem is he's playing over a full mix with other guitar tracks in it, and it makes the guitar sound bigger, because if you're going to play over a mix with even one guitar track, let alone 2 or 4, it's going to back that guitar track, that live guitar track up, and make the guitar sound bigger and fuller than it already is, and more articulate and stuff like that, because all that stuff's in there already backing it up. So I'm going to do a mix with guitars in the background, and then I'm going to do the same song with them not in the background, with the same patch here, which is called the Trifecta. All right, so here we go. Okay, so now let's do that same song with no guitar tracks backing me up. Let's see what the difference is. Okay, there were things that I was doing in there, and the guitars just sounded kind of muffled and muted, and all the articulation was gone. They sounded small and dull, and there was nothing in there backing them up. I'll give you an example. I'm going to play a riff in here, and there's going to be some notes on the bottom strings that I'm not hearing. Maybe outside of the mix I'll hear them, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. You hear that? You're supposed to hear that. But there's so much effects and so much crap. You can hear it now because the room mic's picking up the clack of the strings, but let's listen again. You can't hear it. That's what I'm talking about. All the articulation, all the little things that we work so hard on putting into our music and making sure that people can hear it, it's not there. So, you know, and in a mix situation, when you're in the studio, you're going to be like, hey, man, the studio engineer, can you turn my guitars up? Because I can't hear all the little things that I'm doing. And he's going to be like, dude, I can't. Because if I turn them up, I'm going to turn up all the mud with them. It's not going to make your notes stand out anymore if I crank your guitars. I'm just cranking mud. Pick a better tone, and all that stuff will stand out. You lack clarity in your tone. This doesn't sound like a guitar. It sounds like a keyboard trying to be a guitar. It really does. And in a mix, you can't hear all that stuff. It doesn't stand out like it should. I doubt any of these presets were tested in real mixes with no guitars behind them. They were probably just made, copy, paste, change a few things so it doesn't look like you copied and pasted them, and then you send them up to the market, and no one's checking them to make sure that they're any good. That's just, give us the money, man. Give us the green stuff. We want the green stuff so that we can make money and you can sound like crap and be embarrassed everywhere you play, whether it's in a studio, band practice, or live. And unbeknownst to us, Line 6, our product looks like crap because we have this stuff in there that we're allowing on our marketplace. I'll give you an example. When you go to the grocery store, well, especially these days, it's kind of pertinent. When you go to the grocery store and you see products on the shelves, do you think they just let any company go in there and just put products on their shelves? It has to be approved by the Food and Drug Administration. I mean, there's all kinds of approvals that got to happen. Everybody's fighting over shelf space in stores, and it takes something that's worthy of taking up their precious, very expensive, very sought after shelf space, so that these companies can have some market share there and sell against other products. Okay, and so there's like this huge battle going on for shelf space at grocery stores. They don't just let any Tom, Dick, and Harry go in there and throw a box of whatever he wants on the shelf and put a price tag on it. You know, there's a vetting process that has to happen. Why isn't this happening here in the marketplace? I mean, I'm talking to you guys at Line 6, and I say this with all due respect. These presets are making your product look bad. I just don't understand why you're okay with that. I don't understand why you're okay with, like, it's the same thing with a grocery store having crappy groceries on their shelves, and everybody's like, oh, I don't shop there anymore because everything they sell is kind of substandard. I go here now. Is that what you want? Because that's where you're headed. You know, because if I was the creator of the Helix, which is a fantastic product and I know can sound much better than what we're hearing right now, I would be vetting this stuff much better and say, you know what, guys, these aren't really working. You know, they don't sound that good. You know, I think you should go back to the drawing board and make sure that these are tested in mixes. And you know what? You should be making videos that are like your little commercials for these and send them to us privately so we can check these out and make sure that they do sound good in mixes. And we have guitar players here. Send us the patches and we'll test them too, so that we can have our product that is our flagship product represented properly. That's what I would do. But hey, I don't work there. I'm not a CEO there. I have no stake in the game at all. But that's kind of what I would be doing. I wouldn't let any of this stuff on my product at all. And what's sad is you got all these people in this group that, you know, is tens of thousands of people in it, just fawning all over this stuff. And the thing is they don't know how bad these are because a lot of them have sold their amps. Oh, I sold my amp. And let me just say this too on that note. When I was digging into these for the last few days, you know, and setting volumes and stuff like that for tonight's show, I found myself going from one preset to another and finding myself going, well, this one's so much better than that one, and it's pretty good. And what happens though is that you find yourself stuck in this level of you know, presets that none of them are really all that good. It's just this one's better than that one, so that means this one's good. You see what I'm saying? But unless you compare it to a real amp or something that actually is a tried and true trusted preset, you're not going to know if it really is legit good or not. You know, so just because it's better than the crappy one that you were playing 5 minutes ago doesn't mean it's good. It's just better than something that sounds like crap. I hope that makes sense to you. And I found myself down that wormhole myself where I was like, man, let me test it to an amp. So I grabbed my MT15, I put it here, ran it 4-cable method, and started playing my amp for a few minutes. And I'm like, oh God, there's all the stuff. There's all the texture, character, tone, feel, fullness, all that. And then it brought me back to reality again. And so that's what I did, you know, and it brought me back into like what real is. And it really helped me stay grounded. And that's one of the reasons why I went back to amps, because I wanted to be grounded. Because the more you dive into any digital product, the further you get away from reality and what amps are, you're going to end up with doing what a lot of these guys do, dialing in presets that are very substandard and do not sound real, do not feel right at all, and they're just the furthest thing away from reality. And you're going to be touring, playing shows, practicing, writing songs, and recording with this, and it's just not going to be good. You know, and I have yet to play one of these patches that even inspires me to write something or anything like that. Are you inspired by the patches that you have? Are you inspired by these presets that you're buying? If you're really not, then you need to make some changes. I mean, I play this and I get super inspired. Especially when I run it 4-cable through the Helix. You know, I've written lots of great stuff on this because there's a feel there, there's a response there that's like, oh man, it's just so good, and it gives back and it volleys with you, and there's just so much great stuff there. And you can get something at least close to that in a digital platform as long as you dial it in properly. You know, I mean, you can do that, but so far we haven't run into that yet, have we? You know, I mean, let me read some comments here. Let me catch up to you guys. Let's see here. Yeah, Helix Cabana Boy. Yep, sounds too processed. It is. It's horribly processed. Robbie Timms. That's precisely why a lot of guys are use modulated delay and reverb. So your dry signal stays clear, but you still get the chorus and reverb and the delay trails. Yeah, you're right. I love modulated delay. Put a little bit of modulation on your delay adds that nice little touch of color and stuff to your sound that is really cool, but it allows you to have the clarity in your main riffs and stuff, and it's a great way to do it. I have modulated delay on a lot of things that I do, and I love it. I think it sounds really cool. Let's see here. Andrew Stone Rock. I just don't buy presets. I've bought a few different IRs. To me, the IR is the most important part of the preset. I won't touch a dial and the amp unless the IR sounds perfect to me. No, you're right, because the IR has to be great. It's literally the number one thing. You can have a great amp and a crappy cabinet and it sounds like crap. You can have a decent, okay amp and a great impulse response or cabinet, and it makes a big difference. So the cabinet is definitely a very important thing. And that's why when you have presets that are paid for, these guys that are selling these and not using good impulse responses with them, I just think it's wrong. Why are you selling presets without a good impulse response on it? That should be part of it. It really should. So let me do this. Let me make sure I'm staying on track here. We're almost done here, guys. Okay. Yeah, so let's do a couple more patches and we'll be done. And I'll just do a quick little tutorial for you and then we'll be done. So let's do another one. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. Let's do this one's called The Modern Truth. Make sure everything's on that's supposed to be. Okay, 1 second. Okay, same thing. That's the ones that were released about a year ago, and nothing's changed. I mean, they still sound very overly processed and everything. So there's no lessons learned from this release that was passed on to these new ones that were called the Trifecta. They sound exactly the same. Tons of effects, tons of overly processed type stuff going on here. No articulation. My ears are bleeding with all the weird frequencies that are going in them. There's just not a lot going on here. So let's go to let's see here. Okay. All right, this is just trying to find the impulse responses that go with these. Let me see what we got here. 1 second. Okay, these are for more like a thrash metal kind of thing. And these would be considered like what I would do is, this is from DD Metal Power. So this one here, it has the stuff in the amp that works. And the impulse response that comes with it is more for thrash metal. Okay, so you got something that's got a really fast pick attack, cuts through the mix, and it's just got that really nice for thrash, for like speed metal and stuff, where you're doing all the crazy right hand techniques and stuff. So what I would do with this is probably more of like the 80-20 kind of thing. I would change the impulse response, which is completely acceptable in this kind of thing. Let's see what we got. Okay, that's a little more my taste. So what I would do is take the treble down a little bit, take the mids down. This is the Rev General Red, and this is, the Rev it's got a lot of high end in it. It's a pretty crazy, wicked amp, and you can tame it pretty easily. So let's see what we got now. All right, so let's go. I'm going to turn the gain up a little bit. It's a little too stiff for me, so let's add a little gain, and So he's got the screamer on it. I'm just going to change that to the Scream 808. Turn the gain down. Turn the level up. Because everybody's got their favorite pedal, right? So favorite pedal, favorite IR, and then they just change a few things around and maybe we can make this work. Here we go. There you go. That's a perfect example of an 80-20 preset. You know, Jeremy Vareo made this. It's actually really good. I'd have to change a few things on it, just like you would too. There's probably people that could get this and it would work 100% for them. Everybody's different. But at least with this, I don't have all this crazy processing and over-affected kind of stuff going on and all these crazy EQs and compressors and stuff like that. And tone matching IRs that don't match any tone at all. It's just a simple straight line with some effects. I changed to my favorite pedal like anybody else would do. I changed to my favorite IR, which a lot of people would do. And turn the gain up a little bit and whatever. It's kind of like lending somebody your amp. They're going to take it home and turn some knobs. That's what I did with this. You know, so let's hear this in a mix. I haven't volume matched this, but I hope it's good. Let me just do a quick test and then we will do a quick mix. Not bad at all. I would make a few more minor adjustments to this, but this would be what I would consider an acceptable 80-20 kind of preset. Donkeys and Donuts. You can look these up. These are actually pretty good. And if you notice, I didn't even notice it very much until I started playing that little run at the end. There's some chorus on here, and it's not overly modulated. It's just subtle, but it kind of gives you that little bit of like modulation, and you're like, wow, there it is. There's some cool, very nicely feathered in effects that aren't over the top. It's not like clown makeup on a beautiful woman. It's just enough to highlight some things, you know. Not bad at all. Not freaking bad at all, you know. Donkeys and Donuts, Jeremy Vareo, nice job on these. Seriously. And if you're into speed metal and all that really fast pick attack stuff, the tightness on this, oh my God, the articulation, not bad at all. And again, it's okay if you want to change the cab or change an overdrive pedal. You know, everybody's got their own taste on things, but when it's 80-20, it's fine. Anything less than that, it's really not worth buying. You know, I'm just trying to find one more for you guys. I think it's this. TDR. Let me see what this is. 1 second. This is by Freeman, Freemen, I believe, and these aren't bad. You know, this one's not bad. I mean, there's a lot you could do with this. Everything's pretty set up normal. There's not a bunch of weird stuff in here. There's a compressor at the end, which I probably would turn off. Let me see. Yeah, as soon as I turn the compressor off, I got that nice pick attack that I like without all that weird mush. So I turn that off, and then the rest of it's pretty set up normal. So the Freeman presets, I tried a bunch of those, and they're actually not bad at all. You know, I would recommend giving them a shot as well. Let me see what we got here. All right, give me a couple minutes, guys. I'll be right back. I'll do a quick tutorial, and then we'll call it a night, okay? Let me just play Carrie's little thing here, and I'll be right back.
Hi, this is Carrie from Tone Wars. We're going to go live in just a few minutes, but before we do, I just wanted to take a few seconds to say a few things. Jared and I really appreciate when you guys tune in and interact with us when we go live. We work very hard to make sure that our live streams and our produced videos are educational and entertaining for everyone. Believe it or not, there's a lot of work that goes into our live streams and our produced videos. So if you like what you're experiencing here, here's a couple ways you can help us out. The Super Chat feature is turned on, and any amount will be appreciated. Jared is also available for private consultation for a nominal fee. You can contact Jared through two of the links below. One is through our Tone Wars Facebook page, and the other is through email. So thank you so much for your support. The live stream's about ready to start, so go pour yourself your favorite glass of whiskey or other libation, and we'll be right with you. Cheers!
Welcome to Tone Wars. Okay, let me catch up with some comments real quick. So there at the end there, we got two really good companies to go to. And look, I can't review every preset out there. Okay, I mean, I can't. We'd be here all night. So the Freeman stuff, I think, will get you at least on the right track. There's a lot of presets in there, and they're all different. Like, he'll start you out with like what his favorite one is, and then he'll go a little brighter, a little darker, a little more mid-range, a little this, a little that, and then you can go in there, and he'll be 80% of what you want, and then you just take it the rest of the 20, which is, again, your favorite setting. So in other words, if somebody let you borrow their amp, you're not going to leave the knobs all where they're at. You're going to turn the knobs. You know, you're going to throw your overdrive pedal in front of it, maybe your delay pedal with your settings. I mean, that's normal. It's all normal stuff. And you get impulse responses with the Freeman stuff. Good thinking, Freeman. Giving people impulse responses that are custom made for your presets that you dialed in with those in mind. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about here. That's the kind of stuff that I would recommend. Are they going to work for everybody? Well, no, not everything works for everybody, but at least you get a pretty good variety. And again, all you have to do is change a few things, and everything's there. You know, I mean, just they're 80%. I'll give you that. They're 80%, and so are Jeremy's. You know, some of you will like them right out of the box. Some of you will want to change the impulse response and the overdrive pedal, and maybe a few settings on the amp, but that's about it. You know, and just to be fair with Jeremy's too, is that they're for thrash metal, like classic kind of thrash metal, not for prog like what I do or regular metal or rock. They're very specific. So if you guys are looking into, you know, for the real fast speed picking type stuff, those are actually pretty good for you. I'd recommend them for you, you know. But again, you can make them work for you if you just play regular metal or prog. You just change a few things and you're good to go. So, all right, so let me do this. We got 23 people here. Let's see here. Let me read a couple things. Ben Burnett, Jeremy Varel's presets were awesome. I just tweaked the gain and a bit to suit my guitars, and I jammed for hours. Great stuff. No, you're right. I mean, that's a testament to that right there. Let's see here. People are recommending Michael Britt. Michael Britt's legendary. I'm sure a lot of his stuff is really good as well. Great stuff. Andrew Stonerock saying it'd be worth it for the IRs. Yeah, you get a lot of good IRs with the Freeman stuff. So, yeah, not bad. Not bad. Okay, so let's just do a quick thing. All right, I said I would do a quick tutorial. Alright, so we'll round it off with this. Just start out with an amp. Alright, let's go with the Rev. Alright, let's just do a Rev, since that's the big one that everybody's excited about still on the Helix. Just grab the Rev. It's way the hell down here. Sheesh. There it is. I'm going to turn the gate on. There it is, right on the input there. I'm going to get the distortion, which is the Scream 808. Level all the way up. Tone in the middle. And gain, yeah, you can go 1.5, whatever. On the Rev, I'm going to just turn the drive up to 5.5. You know, I'm probably just going to leave everything else for now. Aggression, let's put aggression on 2, what the hell. Just get an impulse response, you know, get whatever favorite one you like. And let's see what we got. Okay, so let's do a high cut around 10K. See what we got. Good, not bad at all. So let's put in some delay for solos. Let's do stereo because why not? I always go to ping pong. And then for like solos, I go up to like 800 milliseconds. And let's leave the rest the same. Mix is at 45%. That'll probably work in a mix. Should be a little too loud by itself, but in a mix it should sit properly. Yep, not bad. I'll probably turn it down a little bit. Go to like 35%. Let's see what we got. There you go. And you just make snapshots with the delay on and off, depending on, you know, what you need for, you know, for solos or whatnot. Let's go ahead and move this over. And I'm going to add some modulation now, and then we'll be done. Add a chorus. Do stereo, because why not? Let's just do the regular chorus. I slow the speed down to like 2.1, 2.0, because I don't like the too shimmery, shaky stuff. I just like it to be pretty subtle. Just give me a little bit of modulation. And mix is way too high. I'll play it. Way too much chorus. So I'm going to turn it down to about 25, 20. Let's go to 27%. Let's see what we got. There you go. There's your chorus. Subtle. You can add a little more depending on how you like it in a mix. You can go up to like 30-35%, but you just don't want it too washy and covering up the main, you know, bass tone of the guitar and of the amp. So, I mean, that's really all you need. A good overdrive, an amp dialed in properly, a good impulse response, maybe some modulation or chorus or whatever you like or not, and then some delay for your solos. And I mean, that's really all you need. You don't really need all this other fancy stuff. I mean, yeah, you can add a, you know, like a, you know, some kind of flanger or phaser or something like that as well. That's fine. But again, you don't need all these splits and the EQs and compressors, and I'm going to split the signal here and I'm going to take all this stuff out of the amp EQ wise, but I'm going to add it later after the split with a tilt shelf EQ on top of another, you know, parametric EQ, and then I'm going to compress it all. It's like when you start doing that kind of stuff, it's not an amp anymore. It doesn't sound like an amp. It just sounds like this weird, overly processed thing, and it feels weird. And again, if you really want to test your tones on your digital platform, borrow an amp from a friend if you don't have one, and just make sure that you're getting that feel, that sound out of a real cabin amp, and just judge it against that. Don't judge it against other presets. Judge it against something that's real, and then try to get as close to that as you can, and you're going to achieve the best tone that you can get out of any digital platform. You know, and do I believe you should buy presets? Yeah, I mean, I had two companies tonight. I had Jeremy Varello's and I had Freeman tonight that were actually really good. Are there more companies like that than that make good stuff? Yeah, there are. I'm sure there's plenty of companies out there that make great presets. But just, you know, compare them, put them in mixes, compare them to real stuff. Find a preset that you can use as your benchmark, that you've made yourself, that you've put up against a real amp like this or one of your favorite amps out there that are in the Helix, and you know that it's tried and true. You know that it's a legit preset. Because you've ran it through its paces and mixes live through real good cabs, not plastic ones, studio monitors, put it up against the real amp and all that stuff, and then base all your presets against that. And then at least that's a good benchmark for you so that you can keep yourself out of a rabbit hole and out of buying stuff that just sounds terrible. You know, because, I mean, let's face it, you spent $1,700 on this product. Why would you want to spend that much money and not sound good? You know, and that's what tonight's episode was all about. Again, people asked me for months to do this, and I put it off because, you know, doing stuff like this is not always fun, but I think it's necessary. I think a lot of people will benefit from this if you watch this with an open mind. You know, yeah, do I get passionate sometimes? Yeah, of course I do, because I'm passionate about tone, I'm passionate about gear, I'm passionate about being, you know, a musician and writing good music and being inspired. And it's hard to do that when you're playing stuff that just doesn't sound right. And then everyone blames you for it, you know, like, oh, it must be you, you know, if you don't like this, because you get in these groups and everybody just dog piles on you if you say anything that's out of the norm, you know, and shakes everyone's foundations. And it's really too bad that people identify with the purchase that they made. And it's almost like if somebody doesn't like a preset or a product or whatever that someone else has, that other person gets all offended and says, well, it must be, but you know, that I'm now good, you know, because I bought this. And it's like, you got to take your identity off of the product and just look at it at face value. Is it good? Does it stand up to all the tests? Yes or no? And be objective and be open-minded about it. And if the answer is yes, it does pass all those tests, then enjoy your product, enjoy your purchase, enjoy your presets, enjoy your impulse responses. And don't look back. Just stick with what you got, with what you know is good, and throw your little black book away. You're married now. You just move on. Make good music, write songs, perform, enjoy yourself, be a better guitar player. Find something that inspires you, you know, and if your presets don't inspire you, then you got the wrong ones. It's really that simple. If every time you play your digital platform, you're always thinking in the back of your mind, does this really sound good? Is this really the best it could be? And then you find yourself downloading stuff and turning knobs and stuff like that instead of playing your guitar, you're doing something wrong. Something's wrong, and it's always good to keep one of these around to keep you grounded. I'm so glad that I went back to amps, because my tone was getting further and further and further away from reality for a long time, and buying amps brought me back to reality and kept me out of that rabbit hole and kept me out of sounding bad, and it kept me from guessing on whether or not everything really sounded good or not. I don't have to guess anymore. This will tell me everything I need to know, and so will that PRS MT15. They will both tell me everything I need to know. You know, so I hope this helped you guys. I'm going to read a couple comments before I close out here. Let's see here, live chat, come on. Aaron Short, just trying to see, it looks like a lot of guys are just kind of talking. Okay, so with that logic, I'm going to message Kyle tomorrow, make him send me Generator 100p so I can always compare my live tones with the real thing, just to be sure, huh? Kyle's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, that's really what you want to do. You want to have an amp around just to keep you grounded. You really do. You know, and the next best thing to that is if you got some sort of tube power amp, like a Syn 5050 or other things like that, you can run it into a real cab, and that really helps too. Because as Andrew said, you know, the cab it's a lot of your tone, probably like 70% of it, you know. Let's see here. Just reading some of the comments here. Andrew Stonerock says, I like a nice deep chorus on cleans. I do too. That mostly my new metal background though. I won't use chorus on a driven amp sound though. Yeah, I mean everybody's different, you know. If I use chorus typically on a driven sound, I will use something. I'll use it. It's kind of going to be pretty subtle, like what Jeremy had here. I might have a little more because you want it to stand out in a mix, but not in a bad way. It kind of adds depth to your tone if you dial it in right. If you slow it down and dial it in right, it'll add some depth to your tone. And I don't use it for the whole song though. I'll use it for parts of songs. I'll use it for like the big chorus when I have a little more delay. I have a setting. I have like crunch, which is just dry, really nice, nasty tone. And then I have a wet crunch, which is basically I call it big crunch, where I have some modulation and some chorus, or I mean some modulation and a little bit of delay in there. So when I go into a big chorus on a song, it opens it up a little more and it gives it a little more space. And it really does make a difference. But you don't want to have it on all the time because there's nothing to compare it to. So you almost want it to add dynamics to your songs, and I always use it on that, and just different parts, you know. I mean, so I don't always have it on either, but it is nice to have a nice trick up your sleeve every once in a while with this stuff, you know. But let's see here. All right, well, hey, it's been a long night. I've been on for almost 3 hours, and I'm getting kind of hungry and stuff. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I really appreciate it very much, and I hope this shed some light on some things for you guys and helped you make better decisions with your preset purchases. Again, I'm not against buying presets or selling them. I think that there's some good ones out there, but just, you know what to look for. Put them through their paces and, put them through mixes and compare them to real amps and stuff like that. And just be honest with yourself. And you'll find yourself getting really good paid presets as opposed to ones that you're going to waste your money on. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. We'll be live again Sunday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And we will see you all then. Thank you so much.